Hello everybody, Vitaliy here with 64 Audio, and I'm in New York City at the Electric Lady Studios with the famous Michael Brauer, and just wanted to get some thoughts and reactions and have him tell us a little bit about what that's been like.
First thing I noticed, of course, was that, wow, it's a full range sound. I was surprised, honestly, because it's just in-ears aren't something that I ever really listen to. I don't ever mix on in-ears. And speaking of those, I happen to have them right here. And these are my very own black on black custom set, 12 drivers. And of course, when I started inquiring, when I asked, like, what are these little metal things? They explained to me, well, actually, that's what helps open up the sound so it doesn't have pressure buildup. And they have two different types of Adels that you can stick in here. There's this one that's a silver one. They also have one that's black. I put the black ones in and I felt that it was just taking a little bit too much of it was becoming a little too open. Obviously they didn't build them so that you can always say, well, one is better than the other. It's all individual. For me, the 12s work fine. I think the 10s can work just as fine for somebody who's really listening critically in a different way, who maybe has the kind of music they're doing is really more important on what's going on between the lower mid-range to the mid-range to the top end, which is where the 10s really excel. It wasn't like it was an obvious decision. My records tend to have a fair amount of bottom. I go down pretty low, and there's a certain punch going on somewhere in the 60s. When I get that clear picture and I'm hearing how the bottom end moves, I can feel that movement, which is something that's very unusual for in-ears. Again, you know, it's quite a different world between listening to regular speakers and in-ears. That bottom end, I responded, and I could associate with that bottom end as my bottom end on the 12s. Everybody's hearing is different. The 10s might be perfect. I think that what's important here is that these can be customized to what you do.
I've heard that you guys use them for critical listening, like fixing pops.
Well, Steve, my great assistant, has a pair, and my other assistant, Emiliano, has a pair. Steve certainly, when it's time to print, he's listening to make sure that there aren't any crackles and anything non-musical going on. It wasn't until he started wearing these Audio 64s that he could really accurately address de-essing in a way that he never could before. There was quite a bonus. We didn't expect that, which is why my assistants each have a pair. They can clear up these kind of issues in a much faster way. The 64s have really helped us become more efficient. I also had an artist come in here. After the mixes were done, he had some tweaks and some comments, which he went and did with Steve. And Steve gave him a set of the in-ear monitors so that he could be hearing critically. He was so happy. We were able to move along much faster through the comments, and he really heard the things. And the ideas of his that didn't work, he could tell immediately. First thing he wanted to do was, wow, I need these for my in-ear monitors on stage. Another friend of mine who's a producer, who's also performs all the time, he used them, he fell in love with them, he wanted to take them back with him. I said, no, leave them here. You know, it's pretty obvious. If this is for you, you're gonna know it and you're gonna love it right away. And I think what helps is for those who generally don't use earbuds to do any critical listening, or generally just don't like earbuds, this isn't like your typical. This is really an in-ear. For me, what worked is that you can get custom fittings. The difference between just the little foam inserts that come with it and these, there's probably a 60% improvement. It is unbelievable. And it's almost scary because you just close out the world. In New York City, you almost always have to be looking around when you're walking, you know. It took me a little getting used to because I'm walking and I'm just not noticing, I'm not hearing, you know, the honking and the screaming. And meanwhile, you know, I'm just walking around going, wow, it's so quiet in this city, you know, and I'm just listening to music at a regular level. My work is still being done through the speakers. I'm not listening, I'm not mixing on these. I mean, I have really excellent speakers. I can hear a lot of detail, but with these in-ears, you can really hear if there's a slight imbalance to the left or the right of maybe a vocal. You may not notice it listening to the speakers, but on in-ears you can really hear. It's a huge improvement on something that already clearly sounds better than your typical earbud.
We wanted to thank you so much for taking the time.
You're welcome.
To talk to us and give us, you know, your feedback. You know, just thank you for opening up the doors.
You're welcome.
To the Electric Lady Studios. And if you guys haven't heard Michael Brauer's work, just check out his website and check out the discography, and I think you're gonna really like what you hear.